Hi there learners! Welcome to this video. For today's lesson, we are going to talk about the very important topic. And I know that this will be interesting. So stay tuned and don't blink. Good day and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Najib B. Pinoti and one of your reporters for today. For today's video, my co-reporters and I will be going to give you an enlightenment about these following theories. First, the agenda setting theory, uses and gratification theory, magic bullet theory, two-step flow theory and multi-step flow theory, aggressive ghost theory, knowledge gap theory, and the last is the spiral of silence theory. And we are going to discuss this to you by our assigned task. Its definitions, importance, and relevance in mass media. So without further ado, let's begin with the first reporter by Nadia Mangilala.
Greetings, I am the first reporter of this group, Bae Nadia A. Mangilala, and I will be reporting about the first theory, which is the agenda setting theory. It was introduced and developed by Dr. Max McCombs with his longtime research partner, Dr. Donald Lewis Shaw in 1977 when they both published The Emergence of the American Political Issues, the agenda-setting function of the press. The agenda-setting theory was characterized as the ability of the news media to influence the silence of topics on the public agenda. This theory reposes on two presumptions. The first one is it changes and restructures the reality rather than disclosing the truth to the audience. They do this because they want the attention of the public, and in order to do so, they have to change some information and change it into something that would gain attention from the viewers. The second presumption is that the more the media gives recognition to a certain issue, the more it becomes relevant to the public. To put it in simple words, the mass media does not allow us to ponder on our own or give criticisms on reports, but what it does is it gives us specific stories that people should talk more about. There then comes the psychological effect of the agenda setting theory, which is the further a news is emphasized to the public, the greater it becomes valued on individuals. The agenda setting theory involves a diagram as follows. The first one is the reality. This includes economical, political, scientific, and even socio-cultural events. And when big events take place, like the mentioned ones earlier, the mass media then take actions by framing the stories and filtering the reality. The filtered reality is then brought to the public, or which is called the public perception of reality. The news received by the public by this time is the altered one, and it does not cover the whole truth. An additional step is involved in the diagram of the agenda setting function, which is from reality to the public. This refers to the direct impressions and discussions of the public to the issues without the influence of the media. In conclusion, the agenda setting theory has two things in mind. The first one is it gives an alteration of the reality. The second is it changes the prioritized issue of the public by giving a huge emphasis on a singular problem. This type of media theory is the kind that announces news publicly with the intention of deceiving the mass, deceiving in a state of twisting the events and changing it into something that would gain attention from the public. The second reporter shall then discuss the next theory.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Shania May Ismail from STEM 11.4. So for this video, we're going to know what is magic bullet theory. So for this theory, we're going to analyze this theory's view to the media and its relationship with the audience. So this theory was developed in 1920s and 1930s. And what it points out here is that the audience relationship with the media. So this theory, it believes that the media is almost like a drug. They're going to be injected into the audience for what they want them to believe. And the audience just passively take in and absorb the information. They're going to be absorb the information and accept it and reacted to it. The media is like shooting the information into the audience. It's like a gun. Now, this is the way of looking at how we see the relationship between the audience and the media. Now, for some people, and for me personally, it was relevant today. So this theory believes that the audience is very passive. So let's say, for example, you're watching a video on your phone, and then suddenly there's an ad on it. You see Burger King, and you like tacos. But the ad is saying that you should buy Burger King because it has a lot of meat, it has a lot of cheese, it's very affordable, and free delivery. And then suddenly you decided to buy Burger King instead of tacos. So here we can see that even though you like tacos, you change your mind because of the media is telling you to. So there is a connection, and then you reacted to it. So that's all. You may proceed to the next theory. Assalamu alaikum. I am Shania May Ismail from STEM 11-4. So for this video, we're going to know what is magic bullet theory. So for this theory, we're going to analyze this theory's view to the media and its relationship with the audience. So this theory was developed in 1920s and 1930s, and what it points out here is that the audience relationship with the media. So this theory, it believes that the media is almost like a drug. They're going to be injected into the audience for what they want them to believe. And the audience just passively take in and absorb the information. They're going to be absorb the information and accept it and reacted to it. The media is like shooting the information into the audience. It's like a gun. Now, this is the way of looking at how we see the relationship between the audience and the media. Now, for some people, and for me personally, it was relevant today. So this theory believes that the audience is very passive. So let's say, for example, you're watching a video on your phone, and then suddenly there's an ad on it. You see Burger King, and you like tacos. But the ad is saying that you should buy Burger King because it has a lot of meat, it has a lot of cheese, it's very affordable, and free delivery. And then suddenly you decided to buy Burger King instead of tacos. So here we can see that even though you like tacos, you change your mind because of the media is telling you to. So there is a connection, and then you reacted to it. So that's all. You may proceed to the next theory.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu, and a pleasant day to all of you everyone. For this part of our video, I will be tackling about uses in gratification theory. And by the way, my name is Siti Sharma Sailani, and let's get on to the video. Okay, let's proceed to our discussion. Okay, to begin, let us know what is uses and gratification theory. Uses and gratification theory is also known as UGT. UGT is an approach to understanding why and how people actively seek out specific media to satisfy specific needs. UGT is a method of studying mass communication that focuses on the audience. Unlike other media effect theories, which question what does media do to people, UGT assumes that media is a widely distributed product and that audiences are customers of the same product. This communication theory takes a positivistic approach to communication and is based on social psychological communication on a large scale. UGT's central question is, why do individuals use media and for what purposes do they utilize it? UGT examines how users purposefully select media to meet a certain need, such as enhancing education, relaxation, social contacts, companionship, diversion, or escape. It is presumptively assumed that audience members are not passive media consumers. Rather, the audience has control over their media intake and participates actively in the interpretation and integration of media into their own lives. Unlike other theoretical approaches, UGT believes that audiences are in charge of selecting media to satisfy their goals and requirements. This notion implies that the media is fighting for the attention of viewers with alternative information sources. Because it provides communication academics with a perspective through which a number of concepts and theories regarding media choice, consumption, and even impact can be examined, and UGT has heuristic significance today. Moving on to this part of our discussion, we will be talking about the relevance of this theory to mass communication. Okay, UGT plays a big role in mass communication. The theory is an approach to understand why and how people actively seek out specific media to satisfy specific needs. UGT is an audience-centered approach to understanding mass communication. And there are objectives of uses and gratification theory. This is to show how the relation of mass communication and how it is used to gratify needs, to find out primary intentions of media used by people, and to know the positive and negative aspects of media used on the media users. Okay, for example of this theory is when we watch something like TV shows like that, news, or anything that can be watched and listen of your own choice. People choose from their own choices and moods, and the needs of the particular person are met through the media use. So overall, in this theory, the effects of the media to people, which it explains how people use the media for their own need and get satisfied when their needs are fulfilled. In other words, it can be said that the theory argues what people do with media rather than what media does to people.
Knowledge gap theory. This theory was first proposed in 1970 by three scholars named Philip E. Tichenor, George Francis Dunowo, and Clarence N. Olian. The three researchers are from the University of Minnesota. They defined the knowledge gap theory as the infusion of mass media information into a social system increases higher socioeconomic status segments tend to acquire this information faster than lower socioeconomic status population segments. Hence, the gap in knowledge between the two tends to increase rather than decrease. In simple words, as the access to mass media increases to particular segments of population, individuals will gain information faster, and hence the wide gap increases with the lower economic status of the population. In this theory, knowledge is treated as any other commodity which is not distributed equally throughout the society, and the people at the top of the ladder has more easy access to it. This theory was used in presidential elections, and it was seen that when a new idea invades in the society, the people of the higher strata understand it better, and hence the gap expands. But in events such as debates, free talks may help to reduce this gap. Knowledge gap theory is a mass communication theory that states that wealthier and more educated people acquire information from mass media faster than lower socioeconomic classes. Wealthy people have greater access to media information and benefit more from it. Therefore, as mass media grows, so too does the gap in knowledge between the higher and lower social classes. The purpose of this research is to develop a clear understanding of the concepts and dimensions of knowledge gap and knowledge expansion, as well as to concise terminologies such as research gap and research problem. These studies finding may be based on conceptual and theoretical reasoning from existing knowledge gap and research gap literature. The study found that the idea of knowledge gap originated in the mass media domain and contains the two unique pillars or paths, such as differences in awareness of concerns and depth informational issues about topics based on existing literature.
Hello everybody, I am Najib B. Pinotti, and to continue the discussion, I'll be going to discuss to you the aggressive cause theory. So let's start. Aggressive cause theory, this is the most provocative theory introduced by Leonardo Berkowitz, a professor of psychology between 1965 and 1969. So this theory claims that element and portrayed media violence act as cause for angry individuals. These acts of aggressions are influenced by the presence of socially learned cues or environmental situations which make committing aggression acceptable. So first, what is aggression? So aggression, according to Adam that and believe.perform.com, it is any form of behavior directed toward the goal of harming or injuring another living being who is motivated to avoid such treatment. And the hypothesis, according to Berkowitz, a psychologist in 1969, he states that it is being frustrated heightens a person's predisposition toward violent actions, the context of the situation, as well as how an individual interprets the situational cues at hand, best predicts whether this person will exhibit aggression. In analogous to frustration and aggression is that frustration causes an increase in arousal, but aggression only occurs if there are socially accepted cues present. Looks at violent content as stimulus to psychological and emotional arousal, which tends to increase the possibility of aggressive behavior. On the other hand, this theory suggested that certain cues in our environment have become strongly associated or learned with aggression and aggressive behavior, or having aggressive cue value. If then a person becomes frustrated in the presence of the cues, he will behave more aggressively. And also this theory suggested that when violence is glorified in fictional media toward a certain type of individual, that fictional violence can have carry-over effect in a real-life responses against those same category of people. And studies based on this theory have shown that aggression from children increases after watching media violence, since children are more aroused and learn a new aggressive form of behavior. Hence, the amount of time spent on watching violence on TV or video games in their childhood correlates with aggressive behavior in adulthood. This is why Berkowitz proposed that media violence acts as a catalyst for aggressive thoughts. Researchers accurately predicted that aggression would be triggered when subjects were angered. They see a violent movie that stimulates aggressive thoughts, and there is a cue in the environment of the resembles movie. So these are the predicted aggression that would trigger the subject. So without further ado, that's the end of my discussion.
This theory of spiral of silence can be broken down into the following core hypotheses. Most people are afraid of social isolation. Therefore, people constantly observe other people's behavior in order to find out which opinion and behavior are met with people's approval or rejection. People that tend to hide their opinion away when they think that they will expose themselves to isolation pressure with their opinion. People who feel public support, in contrast, tend to express their opinion loud and clear. Loud opinion expressions one side and silence on the other sets the spiral of silence into motion. The process is typically ignited by emotionally and morally laden issues. In case consciousness on an issue is in given society, it is unlikely that spiral of silence will be set into motion. The spiral is usually elected by controversial issues. The actual number of partitions of an opinion is not necessarily decisive or the weight in the spiral of silence. The opinion of a minority may actually be perceived as majority in the public sphere. If their partitions act assertively enough and publicly defend their opinion with emphasis, fear and threat with their social isolation operation subconsciously, most people do not consciously think about how their behavior is oriented by public opinion. Public opinion is limited in time and space. Wherever people live together, societies and public opinion will function as mechanism of spiral control. However, that specifically public opinion approves or rejects will change with time and differ from place to place. Public opinion stabilize and interrogates society because conflict will resolve through spiral of silence in favor of one opinion. This is what is referred to as the interrogation function of public opinion.